This is one of the videos you can't afford to miss, because if you screw this up, mark my words, I don't want to be the person to tell you I told you so at the bull run's commencement, or at least during the bull run as well. Now, I have been extremely concerned recently because I have a lot of people reaching out to me, asking me about some of the more important questions, and albeit they are important questions relating to the bull run. And what people seem to not understand is that you don't want to be preparing for the bull run in 2024 or 2025. You have to start preparing now, because at that time it's too late. We've been graciously given prices right now and opportunities to buy altcoins and do the things that we should be doing that I will outline in this video. And ultimately, when you do eventually to decide to start doing these things, chances are you're going to be doing them when the mass market that have been out of the market for the last couple of years decides to come back. Therefore, you've pretty much wasted every opportunity to implement these things, okay? Now, I'm going to touch on these questions categorically from what I'm about to say. Let me read them off to you right from the sources over here. One of the questions I always receive are, what fiat on and off ramps should I be using? We're going to answer this. When should I sell my altcoins? When and how do I convert my stablecoin to fiat? Am I going to be taxed on my crypto? And where should I keep my crypto? And so these are obviously the type of questions you need to be asking yourself right now, because if you're not, you are literally setting yourself up for failure. It's just as simple as I can possibly be. I know how boring is it. We're not talking about buying this altcoin or that altcoin today. Guys, if you have that mindset, you're just searching on YouTube and kind of grabbing a general consensus just to pick an altcoin, you are literally the person who will be crying, all throughout 2024 and 2025. I can almost guarantee it. Why? Because I've lived it myself. And I've seen it in multiple people and friends that continue not to listen to me. Let me explain and go through these questions again categorically today so we can break it down and answer them once and for all. Now, I want to say something for the record. This video isn't going to be designed to be half an hour, 45 minutes long, as much as I would like that. I've pretty much got videos on all of these things, breaking them down, but we are going to start off with actually 3 of those questions because they more or less can be answered together, okay? And those 3 are going to be, what fiat on and off ramps should I be using? When and how do I convert my stablecoin to fiat? And where should I keep my crypto? So I'm going to make this spreadsheet available to everyone. You guys can go ahead and use it. As we're going to see, it is quite expansive, which is perfect because this is what you got to be working on right now. Once you can work on this, it's all sweet. As I said, I've pretty much got videos for 1, 2, 3 of these questions. But again, 3 of these other questions are over here. Half of the problem is going to be solved in this over here. So I'm going to kind of touch on this mostly and then leave links down below to those videos, although I will definitely touch on them in this one, okay? So converting fiat into crypto, at least turning whatever it might be, dollars, pounds, euros into, onboarding it into crypto. What do we have to do? Well, we have to look for on and off ramps that ideally don't charge us. Now, most importantly, definitely the on-ramps can't charge us, okay? That some of them do, so try to avoid that. You don't want to be losing money before you even started to make any. Now, off-ramps typically do charge fees. It's just a part of the game. Nothing they can really do. There definitely are ones that don't do that, but they're likely the larger exchanges that sometimes might be out of our reach, like now is in Australia, okay? So we got to look for things like compliant brokers. KYC is typically required. Now, I don't know this for everyone because I obviously don't have the paperwork to be able to sign up to these other exchanges. And to be honest, I don't want to, for the purpose of this video, have to sign up to 100 different exchanges. I've got a pretty broad audience over here, a lot of you from America, but I want to say for those of you in Australia, and at least you guys overseas can kind of use this and then prepare it or, sort of convert it to your instance. We're looking for obviously compliant brokers, right? So over here, CoinSpot, Caleb & Brown, and SwiftX for Australia. Now, these are just simply smaller exchanges, smaller centralized exchanges that are compliant. So over here, it's compliant with ASIC, right? So essentially, that pretty much means that if something were to happen, it's at least governed, okay? They're public and they're able to be essentially covered in insurance in case of any sort of obviously downfall, I guess. Before we continue with this video, I would like to thank the sponsor, and that is Grape. Now, what is Grape? Well, essentially, it's a brand new state-of-the-art, super fast layer 1 network built on top of what's called a DAG, different to a blockchain, but much faster, allowing for the network to push of speeds up to and beyond 700,000 TPS. Now, the really unique aspect about Grape is that being tailored towards gaming and the metaverse, it understands what it has to provide side, not just for developers, but also for the end users. It has amazing NFT capabilities and also an inbuilt state-of-the-art AI tool that allows it to be leveraged by developers to do low to no code tooling, and also for end users to eventually use as well. It's literally mind-bending. Now, I've made a full video on Grape. You guys can go ahead and check that out in the description below. But I want to say, for a limited time, guys, they're offering 10% bonus on their tokens if you go and sign up for free on their website and buy the tokens from there. You can do so with the link below. You must use my link, though, to get that 10%. So with that being said, thank you so much to Grape for sponsoring this video. And with all that said, let's get back to the video. Now, we also have on the other side of things non-KYC or sometimes even KYC on and off ramps as well. Again, this is us getting our money into crypto. So we're not being too specific and pedantic here. We're not storing our crypto on these exchanges, if you will, or these brokers. So this is things like MoonPay, Alchemy Pay, for example, so on and so forth. Okay, so you can decide to use these. What I've actually done is use links in each of this. So when you guys use this spreadsheet, you can actually click on these links. I'll see if I can show you here. So you can click on MoonPay, for example, and it'll take you right to the page you're looking for. So I've pretty much done that with all of these links as well. So entry essentially is in the situation over here, conversion vehicle plus centralized holdings only. Okay, so we're not going to really try to hold our centralized tokens over here. If we can, the main purpose is converting fiat into stable coins, and honestly, stable coins back into fiat. This website doesn't need to be used to buy and sell assets, just to simply buy stable coins. I'm not going to refer to stable coins as an asset. I'm just going to refer to it as a stable coin. Okay, so this website needs to be a compliant exchange, as you might decide to hold some fiat on the exchange itself. What am I doing? Well, actually, as much as I've talked crap about them in the past, I am using CoinSpot. I am going to convert over to Caleb and Brown momentarily, but I use CoinSpot myself right now to hold some of my fiat to be ready to move around when I need to. Not, life-changing money by all means. Definitely don't get me wrong. So once we've able to transfer our fiat into stable coins, essentially that's the process we've done here, we now need to buy assets, right? So to buy assets, what does that mean? Well, high fees and markup costs are associated with some of these regulated exchanges. So to buy assets, use a DEX with high liquidity or another centralized exchanges, obviously referring to these ones. So for example, CoinSpot, right? CoinSpot is an exchange, again, I hold pretty much some of my fiat in, but that's kind of like my onboarding ramp right now, and offboarding ramp. It's very easy to use and instant. Well, what happens in this case is they actually mark up the cost of assets, and then obviously vice versa when you're trying to sell, okay? So actually it works quite horribly, okay? So I don't want to be buying markups essentially on these projects because they're making money on that. They're also charging extremely high swap fees as well, like extremely high, like $60, $70, $80, $100 a pop, right? I don't want to be doing that, of course. Now, you can find ones that don't do that, and some of these ones obviously don't do that. But nevertheless, we want to pretty much be trading on more liquid, or essentially exchanges that aren't going to be charging us an arm and a leg to use and to swap and to use futures and to spot trade and so on and so forth, right? And also on the sell side of things, it might be better to convert assets to stable coins on another exchange and then send the stables back over to this place over here, right? Our pretty much entry/conversion vehicle, and then obviously, take it out of crypto essentially. This might save you the conversion fees associated with brokers. Again, brokers pretty much being those centralized exchanges over here. Sometimes even these guys, right? Because these guys do charge quite high fees, credit card fees, so on and so forth, okay? So we're essentially, what I'm trying to say here is using these associated projects, or essentially networks or companies, to leverage the high liquidity, right? Bypass exorbitant fees and pretty much be able to buy and sell assets with the stable coins. That's all we're using it for. So obviously Coinbase, Binance, KuCoin, Uniswap, Thorchain, and Meld, okay? So the difference between centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges is kind of talked about over here. So you can prevent a SEX from stopping your transfer. Over here, you obviously have the benefit of doing many, many different things, such as feature trading, leverage trading, so on and so forth, okay? So KYC is obviously required, and in some of these, if not all of these, no KYC, okay? So there's the benefits over there. Of course, there is downsides, but we're mainly using this to swap stable coins to assets, assets to stable coins, and assets to assets. Again, anything we're trying to convert back to fiat is transferred back into these. I know it's a two-step process. It just is the best way to do it, at least from what I found. From here, to store these assets, pretty simple, right? So I go into detail over here. Most of you guys will know what this is. For those of you who are new to crypto, don't know what this means, do not worry. I break it down all on here. Of course, I do leave links to each of these as well. So there's so many different options, and I do discuss them over in the right-hand column, okay? Now, if you are someone that does want to stake your tokens as well, I go into quite a bit of detail over here. Do not, if you can, use non-custodial wallets, and definitely do not use third-party staking platforms. I tell you why over here, okay? You might have to do some more research in regards to what what the reason behind my algo wallet hack was. But most of the time, guys, it is pretty easy information to find. I just wanted to give you all who are questioning this a very coherent and visual structure, okay? Because I know this is a very, very big topic right now. So hopefully this helps. If you guys want me to break that down more, definitely let me know down below, and I can spend more time, or at least a dedicated video, going into this a little bit more, okay? And so what now about the question of, am I going to be taxed on my crypto? Yes. So there's such a thing called capital gains tax. What that means is if you hold, this is in most countries, not all countries, most countries, if you retain custody, if you own those tokens or those assets for 12 months or more, you don't get what's called capital gains tax. Here's the catch. If you hold them for less than 12 months, so if you buy now and you sell them sometime between now and 1 year from now, you are subject to capital gains tax, which means you are taxed 100% on any profit you make, and that is typically added to your personal tax bracket, okay? So let's say you're someone who makes $45,000 a year. Well, over here in Australia, you're in that second tax bracket, which means a certain number of your, up to I think it's about $18,000 of your income isn't taxed at all. You get 0 cents to the dollar is taxed. The next tax bracket, I think, is like 19,000 or 45,000, and it is tiered so that pretty much anything plus 18,000 to that 45,000, so not the whole 45,000, goes into the next bracket, which I think is taxed at 19 cents to the dollar. So yes, every dollar you make, 19 cents goes to the tax man. This is the same or similar in most countries, especially Commonwealth countries, Canada, UK, so on and so forth. And what happens is when you make money in crypto, real estate, or any sort of equity market, that is classified as your personal tax. So that then will jump onto that tier system, and most of us will make over that number, that top high number, which essentially for us over here in Australia is $180,000, which means you are taxed at 45 cents to the dollar. Theoretically speaking, I know I'm jumping around here, and I've made videos on this as well, by the way. If you then make anything over that $180,000, you're taxed at 45 cents to the dollar, which means you are taxed 45% of whatever the hell you make over that 180 grand. Yes, that does mean if you make, let's just say $500,000 over that, you are literally taxed, whatever that works out to be, right? $200 and something thousand. Literally. Okay, well, let's make it easy. $1 million, you're pretty much taxed 450 grand. That's gone. See you later. Okay, so if you spend that money between now and that 12 months and it's gone into a new car, that car is then liable. You're going to find that money. The taxman's not going to go, oh, he spent money on that car. It's fine. No, you still owe that money. It's very important you recognize this, and this chart right here gives you a clear-cut guide and framework based on actual evidence as to when that you should have your last positions in, because we pretty well can roughly estimate when the top of the bull run will obviously be. And I've obviously given us a bit of a buffer here, 3 to 4 months to be exact, just in case it doesn't work out exactly. Now, of course, you can still buy and trade assets within the next 12 months, aka essentially, well, if we have a look here, I'm predicting the top of the bull run to be 30th of October 2025. You can still buy and trade assets in between the 12 months, the red zone. You can still do that, it's fine. But you must keep away some of that money you make for tax, ideally all of it. So when the tax time does come, you have all those funds to associate and give it to the tax man, and then from there you can spend accordingly, okay? You know how much expendable income you then have, which is pretty easy to do. Now, if you are someone like what I'm going to be doing and not doing that, or at least if I do, I'm going to, as I say, buy micro caps and hold all that money onto the side, and you say, for example, hold after the 12 months, you're not susceptible to the capital gains tax, which means that 50% of that money that you were to make above, let's say, the highest tax bracket, again, going back to the same example, if you said made $1 million on top of the $180,000, you're in the highest tax bracket and you've made that money. Well, instead of being taxed at 45 cents to the dollar on that 1 million, you're only taxed on 50% of that. That's the 50% number everyone talks about. So that means that you're only taxed 45 cents to the dollar on 500,000. So you're locking in that $500,000 essentially, if that makes sense. So whatever you make, 50% is yours permanently, and you're only taxed on half. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Again, I go into it in this video. And again, in this framework right here, I talk about these timeframes: June, July 2024 is when you should most definitely look at having this in to have that secured, if you will, to minimize capital gains. Now, to answer the question, when should I sell my altcoins? Well, again, this is actually itself, will literally be here for 35 plus minutes talking about this. Ultimately, guys, each project is different. They work on narratives and individual announcements / roadmap events, which is so important, which is why you must keep up to date on your project every single day. Near Protocol might have a massive sudden announcement the next day. They might have partnered with a huge company, or Amazon might be actually using the network in some capacity, and therefore the price might spike. But if you don't research every day, you're going to miss this boat. You're going to get the secondhand news, feel FOMO, buy in, end up getting dumped on. So it's very important you keep up to date, which is why I say maintain a small number of projects you can spend 5 to 10 minutes on every day researching. Twitter, Medium, blogs, AMA, so on and so forth, okay? It's super important. And this here is essentially the proof, right? You can go through this yourself, read all this sort of stuff. I give you examples as to why we need to look into narratives, what's very important. For example, layer 1 networks, they all pop off at the same damn time. Now, I'll give the example of Near Protocol over here, why some are different, but most of the time, most projects that are known for what I call primary narratives, at least this means what they are primarily known for. For example, Near Protocol is a layer 1 that it's primarily known for. Now, it does offer DeFi and other services as well that it might also be known for, but that's not a primary narrative. It won't move when that DeFi season happens, only layer 1, if you get what I'm saying, okay? So this is a good thing to know because we can then take advantage. We can, for example, argument's sake, benefit from, let's just say over here, right? Payments goes off at the first half of the bull run. We can then take our profits because, as you can see over here, they don't get anywhere near what they could have obviously gotten in the first part of the bull run, which is pretty scary because if you're still holding off for the Bitcoin top, you'll probably get half of what you could have actually selling at these individual altcoin tops. And then so obviously you can reinvest down here when the market dips, which it most likely will again, and then obviously reinvest back into narratives that haven't actually popped off, like layer 1s, for example. And so this just pretty much explains it. You guys can go ahead and do your research. Also, it's very important to sell your altcoins based on a clear strategy. We do this pretty simply by doing price predictions. Very basic. We want to make sure we redo these price predictions, as I mentioned in the notes section down here, at least 2 more times between now and I'd probably say, early 2025, just to be safe, reinforce the levels we think of, because when we price predict, and there's a strategy behind this, we're not just picking random numbers or watching YouTubers here. We do this based on information, and again, I show you how to do that in these sort of videos. We find these price levels, and then we pick strategic levels to ladder sell. We want to be a robot. We also do this because then we can go, okay, hey, well, HBAR is trading at 6.5 cents right now. If it goes up to our minimum price prediction level, which again is reasonable at, let's just say 70 cents, well, okay, that's roughly about a 10x. Cool, sweet. Well, that's all I'm expecting out of HBAR. Therefore, I'm happy to buy in at today's prices. If it goes lower, cool, more time to buy. If it goes lower, I don't have more money, sweet, I don't care, I'm making my minimum. These are the things that we can benefit from by simply doing a price prediction. Again, we do have to be reasonable in these price predictions. That's the big conundrum people do face. And so, of course, there is 2 strategies here, well, 2 basic general strategies. One is to find price levels and ladder sell up. This can be more complicated, and for those of you who are armchair investors or more passive investors, you might want to follow the 25-25-25-25 rule or the 20-20-20-20-20 rule, okay? Which is sell at just percentages of your portfolio at basically percentages rather than trying to sell at numbers and then working at the percentages from there, all right? So things can get a little bit complicated if you want them to be, but they don't have to be, okay? It can be very, very simple indeed if you follow that strategy. Just remember, each altcoin is completely different from the next and from the next narrative, okay? And lastly, what should I do after the bull run? Well, very simple. This just shows you a simple compounding structure. People don't talk about this. You can turn very little money, $10,000 invested in even a high cap project like Polkadot, for example, and if you reinvest it, even with high expectations of when the project might find its next low in the next bear market, like DOT being minimum of $10, for example, into high things like $950,000, right? Because you compound. People don't talk about compounding. It is a very powerful structure. And of course, you do have to have some conviction in these projects. But this just goes to show how, again, you can start off with, remember, 10K isn't actually a low number to begin with. But again, you scale that down 10X, you can still make $95,000 with $1,000, for example, right? And this is Polkadot, right? I've shown an example with this with HBAR, and HBAR you can quite literally turn like couple $1,000s into literally like millions of dollars. It's insane, okay? You just have to make sure you reinvest after the bull run. 2025, guys, is not the be-all and end-all bull run. It is not. It is the catalyst. Let me repeat these words. It is not the be-all and end-all. It is the catalyst. In the next bear market, you want to be compounding into the projects or more promising projects again, if not the same ones. You want to be looking to invest in real estate. You want to be looking to invest in stocks. You want to actually be buying tangible, proven, solid assets, which most of these altcoins in 2027 will essentially be at that point, to speculate for the future, okay? Again, it's the catalyst, not the be-all and end-all. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully, it has answered some of these questions and most importantly, taught you something new. All I ask is you like the video, subscribe for daily content, and please, this will definitely help friends and family, so feel free to share it to them as well. Guys, thanks again. Talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye.